Now we're going to do air conditioning.
Yep, just bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, we're now going to do the air conditioning, and this is behind door number 1. So I move all this across.
Door number 2, that was door number 1.
That was the one. So, in line with this week's parasha and talking about the Beit HaMikdash, this is what we'd call the Kodesh HaKodashim. Okay, we do not get this wrong. On here, on this panel, are time switches and controls for both the Shul upstairs and the hall downstairs in this room. As it says, the Shul for upstairs and the hall for this room downstairs. When it's on 0, it's on off. When it's on 1, it's on Shabbat mode. So after I've programmed it, if I want people to be happy, I've set the time, the temperature, I want it actually to work, I make sure it's on 1. How do I test it? Well, I put it on to 1. I can also put it on permanent on mode, which is on 2. So let's put it as an example. And you can hear it's all going on. When I am programming it, I put it on 2 because otherwise you'll see I can't actually see what the temperature is. Okay, and just to show you what I mean, here is the time switch for the Shul and the time switch for the hall, and they're different to the other ones, and I'll explain what they are. But you can see downstairs, here's the time switch for the actual thermostat for the hall, which says 21, and the thermostat for the Shul, which doesn't say anything because I haven't turned it on. Okay, so if I want to check what temperature I'm at, I must have it on.
That's temperature that you want to put out air at.
Yes, and the temperature that it is. So how do I see that? When I press down, it shows me what I'm setting it to. I can press down or up, and then after that, it'll go back to the current temperature that it is. So this is set for 22 in the hall, right? Whereas now it's 20. If I want to change what it's set to, I could press again up or down to see what it's set, and then I could change it. And then I leave it, and that will now set it. Let me change it so you can actually see the difference. It's actually going to have to work now because it was at 20 and now it's kicked in. So I'm putting it to a lower temperature. It'll then go back to the temperature that it is. It's now at 20 and you can see cool comes on. The systems come on because I'd set it to 18. I'm going to put it back up to 21. It all goes off because the temperature at the moment is about the same. Okay, that's the thermostat. They both work the same. They're very simple. We try and keep it at about 21 degrees. That's in the height of summer. We've put it down to 20, whatever, but we set it. As for how they work, the hall is pretty straightforward. We put it on for about a half an hour before, right? Other than on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, where Yom Kippur specifically put it on for about an hour and a half before. So the room is cold. We start at 7, that goes on from about 5:30, 5:45. I have a spreadsheet with all the times for when that works.
Are we talking here downstairs or upstairs?
Both. Both. Upstairs actually I do 2 hours before, here I do about an hour and a half before because it's smaller.
And then during?
And it stays on the whole day. It stays on. Like you saw me programming the times, I just turn off all the other programs. I have one on and one off and that's it. Okay. As for how this works, I flick this up. It's a different program.
I'm going to hold here because I need to get closer.
Okay. So the principle is still the same, and that is that I've compressed the program and I can flick through each of the switches. I press this clock just always to go back to my standard. If I'm ever not sure, if I'm ever in doubt, I can always just press this and I always go back to the default.
So your home screen?
My home screen, yeah. It says the time, 8:52. It says the day, which is Tuesday. It says we're in auto mode and we're on off. And I'll explain each of those. All digital clocks slip. You can see here.
What do you mean slip?
Well, on the other time switch, it said that it was 8:47. Here it says 8:52 and here it says 8:37. Every once in a while I align them, but they do, the time just slips on a digital thing. It's not perfect. Okay, so it's just something to be aware of. If I want to be particular, then I set them both to be the same. Okay, so this is on 8:52. If I want to see what the program is, I use P to actually go through all the program. So let's have a look. program number 1, it says on in the bottom corner. It says on at 8 a.m. on Saturday. Press the next program. It's still part of program number 1. So unlike the other ones, which every number was a different program, here on and off are part of the same program. And here it goes off at 6 p.m.
So it's on the whole day.
It's on for the whole day. Okay. Again, we haven't had it on at the moment over the summer, so it doesn't really, over the winter, it doesn't really matter. Depending on what the first Shabbos will be, if there's an event there, we may choose to keep it, may choose to make it go off a bit later. If there's not an event there, I would change this off. And how would I change it? It's defaulted back, so I'll press program on, 1 on, press program again for off. To change it, I simply press the button. I want to change the hours. Let's say I want it to go off at 12:30. So I just press H, and I'll go down, and that will now go off. And then I press minutes, and this will now go off at 12:30, and we're done. I press program to move to the next one, which also saves it, and that's now done. Okay, so if I go back, I can always go back to the home screen just to see. We said program 1 will go on at 8 a.m. and now it'll go off at 12:30. Okay, and there's no other programs.
So I could put in Mincha there as well.
Correct. Correct. So you can then add in, if I wanted to add in, this is going on. Now, for my next program, there's nothing there. So I can say, you know what, on Saturday, it's already on Saturday, great. I want it to go on, and it comes on the last save date, so it's 12:30. I want it to go on at 4:30, and I want it to go off at, again, 4:30. I want it to go off at 6:30. 6:30. Program done. Okay, so I've now set that on and then off on Shabbos in the hall, and there's no other times. Okay, similar concept for the Shul. It's the same kind of switch.
I'm just gonna stop that. So